anyhow, so no, this is fantastic because we have obviously England, the States, United States, India, Colombia, South Africa in this little screen. I mean, it's not wonderful.
Lovely.
Absolutely amazing. So let me check what time is it. Okay, just gonna give a little bit, a minute, 1 minute more, and then we can start with our interview here with Leon. Leon, I know Leon, guys, for so many years now. We met here in Argentina when he was running his restaurant, one of the top restaurants here in Argentina that he sold a few years ago. And I was fascinated by this guy for his energy, for his passion, for his unique ideas, and for thinking out of the box. That I think that's what makes the difference into the world and into whatever we want to do. So that's a good presentation, Leon.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for that. Yeah, was it 2013? I think we met. You came along to a dinner.
Yeah, I think so. I met his partner, and I fell in love with Richard. I thought, oh my God, this guy is amazing. And when I asked who owns this place, and they say, oh, the owner right now is not here, but I am the partner. But you can schedule a meeting with Leon. I'm like, no, I want you. I want the meeting with Richard, with his partner. And then we met with Leon, and I found this guy, I was like, oh my God, thank God. He's like the guy that I wasn't expecting, because Richard was so much, I don't know, charming and powerful. And I thought, okay, let's see if Leon is the same, much richer. And it did. I was like fascinated with Leon and his ideas and everything. And then we became, his business and our club became partners. And the rest is just history. So we have Corinne here. Corinne, hi. Thank you so much.
Yes, hello. Good morning.
Morning. Thank you so much for joining us. We're just waiting a bit for other people, and then we're gonna start any second. In any second.
We're gonna start exactly at 3 o'clock Latin time.
Yes, that's true. We have 10 minutes. 10 minutes tolerance. About 10 minutes tolerance.
Tolerance.
Absolutely.
Exactly. It's 11 a.m.
And where are you from, Corinne?
From Argentina.
Ah, okay. So we've got an Argentine.
Yes, from Buenos Aires. So it's getting cooler here.
Same.
It's getting hotter here.
Yes, I know. Oh, wow.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
Where are you from?
I'm originally from London. I spent a decade over in Latin America, and I am currently in Scotland because that's where my mum has her retirement house, and she built a house in the garden of that retirement house for Airbnb purposes. And so and it's really beautiful here, and I don't have to stay indoors. So I thought I'll come here for the lockdown so that I can at least, go outside and see some green, as opposed to be locked in a tiny flat.
Lucky.
Definitely.
Lucky you.
Very much so. Yes.
Yes.
Absolutely. Okay, guys, so we're going to start officially. Thank you so much for joining us, everybody. Leon Lightman, our guest for today. He's been a partner of Club Porteño Provoqa for years with his different experiences. Leon, actually, he starts his career that you guys are going to be surprised, and more after we finish the webinar and the interview, you're going to go, oh my God. Because he actually is a lawyer. His career, he started as a lawyer, and I'm gonna leave it to you, Leon, to tell us the story of your beginning, of your career, and then how to cope into something completely different.
Sure. Okay. Well, yes, you're right. Well, technically on paper, I'm a lawyer. I actually, before that, was a little bit of a special child, to call it the least. I didn't really fit in the box from a very young age. I ended up getting thrown out of multiple schools for not being understood very well. Cut a long story short, I got a lucky break by getting a sports scholarship to Australia for my secondary school, where they made me play 3 hours of sport every single day. And all that hectic excess energy that was getting me in lots of trouble in England didn't have anywhere to manifest itself, and I ended up doing very well academically. Went to law school, not because I wanted to do law, but just because I wanted to, I just wanted to prove I wasn't, that I was part of the family. I come from a big family. I have 4 siblings. I come from 5 generations of doctors and lawyers. And I just thought I just wanted to kind of prove I was one of the family. I absolutely hated law, but I did it all the same. And when I was being graduated, I had my parents cuddling me with that whole graduation proud cuddle. I whispered in their ear and I was like, I'm not a lawyer, right? And they're like, yeah, we know. So I then went off into the travel world, and in that I excelled very, very quickly, because I realized that from the age of 6, I never arrived at a school at the right time. I was always arriving in the middle of term. Everyone had already created their friendship circles, and I had to start at the bottom of the social hierarchy and work my way up. And just as I got to where I wanted to be, I was expelled again. So I realized that, although that was very troubling at the time, when I started traveling afterwards, I realized that because I had to start again so many times, I had honed in a set of skills that was particularly good for tourism, because I had the ability to basically befriend anybody, to be able to talk with anyone at any age, any sex, any religion, any background whatsoever. I just realized that in the realm of tourism, that's where I belonged. I traveled for 19 months backpacking, and then started as I met a tour leader that I'd had no idea that was a real job. I actually saw him in a bar just the day before I was supposed to go back to England and have a serious job. He was surrounded by people and they were all laughing. And I just went up to him in the bar and I was like, so what's your secret? And he's like, what? And I'm like, you're the man. Like, tell me, teach me. And he was like, oh, no, I'm a tour leader. I just take people traveling around Latin America. And I was like, shut up. That's a real job. Like, yeah. And I was like, where is the office? And he's like, Buenos Aires. And I was like, I was due to fly back the day after. Join the real world, and it was all very stressful and I really didn't want to do it. So with the last $150 in my overdraft that I was supposed to spend when I got back to England on a taxi to go back home, I just bought the first flight 6 in the morning to fly to Buenos Aires. I just turned up at the door of this adventure company and I just sat there at like 8 in the morning. They didn't arrive till 10. And then these people arrived and I was like, I know this is really unorthodox. And I know that there's a whole online process and but like, I met one of your tour leaders in Rio yesterday and I believe I am perfect for this job. Please just interview me. And they were like, so they were a little uncertain. They said, well, you've traveled all this way. They let me in, they interviewed me within 10 minutes. They're like, you're right, you are absolutely perfect for this, but we don't have any jobs. We have them 2 times a year and you have to do this process and we have 1,000 people that we have to, and suddenly the boss just walks in and goes, actually, it's your lucky day. We just had to fire 2 tour leaders for unprofessionalism. How would you like a job specializing in Argentina, Uruguay, Brazil, Bolivia, and Chile starting tomorrow? And I was like, if I had a tail, it would be wagging crazily. I was like, accepted it, went outside, ceremoniously burnt my ticket home, and started as a tour leader in those countries for 3.5 years before I stopped and started with the Argentine Experience. Should I mention what I'm doing now or how that all started?
Yes.
Okay. So I absolutely loved everything about that travel world. But what I noticed from taking backpacker groups, flashpacker groups, National Geographic groups, I did all of the whole, you know, fine wine and food tours from Buenos Aires all the way to Santiago. Like I did the full scale of all the different types of travelers. And
but Leon, you didn't speak any Spanish by this time, right?
No, I spoke extremely bad Spanish at the time. In fact, in order to get the job for the travel company, when on the plane, I just memorized, I wrote out and memorized a bit because I knew they were going to test my Spanish. So I basically wrote out and memorized a script saying basically in Spanish, it was like, yes, I can speak Spanish, but unfortunately, you know, I haven't spoken for a little while, so it's a little rusty, but it's going to turn out. So I just learned these 2 paragraphs, and luckily they asked me to change to Spanish. I said it exactly the way it should do, and I got away with it and got the job, and then started learning Spanish on the road. The idea for the Argentine experience actually came from being on the road and seeing that if you don't stay in, once you make the upgrade from staying in a hostel, there's nothing designed in tourism to connect adults. We stay in boutique hotels, which are private. We do private, so we go to nice restaurants, they're private, and more we do private tours, which are all private, so you have less and less opportunity to meet each other. I was thinking also, it's like, when was the last time my parents went away and came back and go, do you know what, I made a really good friend when I was away? They never did that. So I was like, why is it that you have to make that concession? Why can't there be for, you know, adults as well, or older adults, the same feeling of what it's like to go to a hostel, to be able to meet really interesting people from all around the world. So I thought, well, I'll just try doing it. Like, so in my flat in Buenos Aires, as a close door restaurant, I just opened up the Argentine Experience as an idea, as an upmarket, unintimidating space where you didn't need to take the concession in quality, guaranteed with the highest quality of everything, to meet interesting people from around the world and to enjoy a tasting menu of the country with wine pairing, with a hands-on element to make your own empanadas, to make cocktails, and so forth. And I just did it as a concept, really, but within 4 months, we'd hit #1 on TripAdvisor, and suddenly we were getting
this was in your apartment, a very small apartment, basically.
Super small apartment in Recoleta, and yeah, I was just running it in my living room, and we were running the smallest, tiniest kitchen you've ever seen. It was so tiny, the place. It was very cute, but it was very tiny. It was a massive surprise to the guests turning up, you know. And once we hit #1 on TripAdvisor, we were having people from all over the world, from the States, and then from Australia, from Asia, you know, all around the table. And you just saw this beautiful synergy of all these people from around the world getting on, genuinely interested in each other's differences, and all just celebrating Argentine food and culture. And I remember one day, Argentina's top poker player came to dinner, and he with his international friends, and he loved it so much. He was like, "Why is this not a restaurant? Why is this not huge?" And I patted my pockets, and I was like, "I'm not a money guy. I'm an ideas guy. I'm a doer. I'm a creative, but I'm not rich." And he's like, "I'm rich." And he's like, I have the money, you have the idea, why don't we go into business? So of course I had to check my calendar and to see if I was free that lifetime. Yep, apparently I was free. And we immediately went into business, and that's when we built the beautiful 2-floor premises that we have in Palermo. And yeah, that's how that one was born. And we had to try and kind of take it from my flat. The Argentine Experience was designed by me, who was the Englishman, who was the founder, but then rolled out with my ex-girlfriend, who was from Germany, and then the chef, who was my best friend from secondary school, who was Thai. So it was an Englishman, a German, and a Thai that made the Argentine Experience. In fact, we didn't have an Argentine in the Argentine Experience for the first 1.5 years of its operations. So once we'd moved into the new premises, my first job, because obviously I needed to do all the marketing, so I had to do every single department, was to train a load of guides. And that's when I started training Argentine guides. That then made it a little bit more, I guess, authentic. It was an authentic experience. It just wasn't done by the right, by the locals, you know, because actually I feel, because we've subsequently made these in Thailand, we've made them in Mexico, and I've done pop-ups in other countries, that often an international perspective is much more, it's much easier for a tourist to highlight parts of a different country's culture that would be interesting to tourists than it would be for a local of that country, because the local actually takes a lot of things for granted that you don't kind of notice, you know. So one of the things that we do at the Argentine Experience, which is really fun, is teach the tourists that come through about the hand gestures of Argentina, you know, the qué sé yo, and the, you know, the que te pasa, and the no seas codito, you know, and tenés quickie, and all these things which are hilarious, that I honestly don't think the Argentines realize they do a lot of the time. And it's just so funny, because if you press mute on an Argentine, you can still know what they're talking about, whereas everyone else in the world you can't. Maybe the Italians, you know, but like it's still possible to get the gist of what an Argentine's saying without any sound. In fact, we make the joke that it's so, and we make the joke that, you know, the only way that you can truly make an Argentine be completely quiet is if you tie their hands behind their back. So anyway, like it's just an example of how a foreigner being in a new country, that I'd been taking people traveling for years through there, from the north all the way down to Ushuaia. So I know the country extremely well, and got to get a really good first-hand knowledge of what it was like. And I just wanted to identify those and highlight them, and have people and celebrate them in a dinner party format that was not serious at all. It was just all about social interaction, fun, great food, and wine.
But incredibly quality also of the food that you guys had, because that one is still one of the number ones in Argentina. But then you move forward, that, you know, after you're successful here, you sold the Argentine Experience, but then in the middle of that process, you opened the Thai Experience in Thailand. So tell us a bit about that.
Well, actually, it was about 3 years in when my Thai chef he just needed to go back home. Like he needed all of the weird and wonderful flavors of Asia. He missed it a lot. I mean, I love Argentine food, and I love showing it off and the culture to the world. But to an Asian who's used to 1 billion different flavors, Argentine cuisine is relatively limited in its variety. And so that was driving my chef crazy. So he was like, I need to go back to Thailand. Could you please fly with me and design me one of these for me? So I was like, absolutely. So we went back, and it was not easy going into business in Argentina, because it's Argentina and there's a lot of things you need to learn in order to do a business in Argentina, that I had to go to the University of Trial and Error to work out, mainly error, and then and then it all came together. But actually, with all the knowledge that we'd taken in from Argentina for those 3 years, we applied it in Thailand, and it became profitable within 1 month. So we definitely took and that actually stayed for 3.5 years as a great business, and recently switched because has toned down, because our target demographic is kind of like,
this is very interesting, Leon, what you're about to tell us, because it's obviously been affected by this whole virus pandemic worldwide, but the shifting is starting before that, and I found that incredibly interesting.
Sorry, what started before that?
The Thailand Experience, the changing of the people and the customers were changing even before this time.
It did, because like this is a socially interactive dining experience. It really suits certain cultures and not others. And so in Thailand, we were banking on the people from the States and people from Australia and from New Zealand. And actually, because we're on an island called Koh Samui, but they over the years, they started changing to a more Indian and Chinese demographic. And they genuinely are not the demographic that you want in that type of dinner. Maybe for a private dinner, but so that one there in Thailand, we're going to move to a different destination that's going to be, that has more of our target demographic in it. And then from Thailand to Mexico, where we
that's
did a pop-up.
Massive jump. Thailand to Mexico, but it's still a spice and it's still thousands of flavors and choices in terms of food.
Oh man, Mexico. The thing is that, and it's a little bit. Everyone assumes when they think about Mexico, they think, oh yeah, fajitas and burritos and quesadillas, but none of that's Mexican. That's all Tex-Mex. You know, it's the most exported concept of Mexican food, but it's really just from a very small area on the border of Texas. Whereas there's 31 states in Mexico, each state represents a world of flavor. So, you know, we do a tasting menu of the evolution in the Yucatan, of the evolution of the food in the Yucatan from the Mayans to the present day, showing all the international influences that happened throughout the course of time and the ingredients that were brought and therefore introduced within the cuisine in that area, with wine pairings from the Mexican wines, which is a very unknown, lesser known wine industry. Yeah, they've got fantastic wine, but super limited production. In fact, the oldest winery in the whole of the Americas, North America, Central and South, is in Mexico. It's called Casa Madero. And when the Spanish came to conquistar the continent, they arrived into Mexico, and the actual etiqueta, the ticket, the sticker on the bottle is the decree from the king of Spain, allowing them to grow grapes, because of course they were going to Christianify the whole continent, so they needed to make wine. So yeah, I think it's
amazing. Wow.
So,
sorry.
1580, 1583, I think that was founded. So, you know, they have wine culture. It's just that they have such a small area of where it grows well, that they don't do the huge production of like Argentina and Chile. So it's not so internationally known at all.
Mm-hmm. So tell us, Leon, more about Mexico, because I know your business from the Argentine Experience to the Thai Experience did a little bit a twist when you went to Mexico.
Yeah, so in Mexico, it's what I realized with Mexico, that in Argentina and Thailand, it takes a while to get the traction of the sales right of this type of concept. But in Mexico, we went into business with a travel agency that already had all the sales channels. They had a beautiful private beach club that wasn't being used after 5 o'clock, because it was a beach club they used for all of their day operations to have a buffet lunch, and then by 5 everyone was gone. So it's this incredible opportunity to make it for a big travel agency that already had all the sales channels, and we just concentrated on the product. And it took off super quickly. But also I went into business with so our chef was the finalist of MasterChef 2013 in España, and her prize for getting runner-up in MasterChef was to come to the Riviera Maya in Mexico and work in 5-star hotels being the executive chef. And she'd been there for 5 years already and is extremely famous and well known in that area. And we worked together to build, so I had the concept and she could just turn it into food. And like that combination just works really, really well. And it took off really, really quickly, which then led us into other things. So like with the travel agency, I realized that they gave us carte blanche to create new products for them. So we created walking food tours, we walked cultural tours, and what other tours we've done? Team building. and cooking classes.
The first one that you're saying, the tour, the first one. What was the first one? Tour that you mentioned?
So what the food walking tour?
That one. Tell us about that one.
So, you know, they wanted it to be an experiential food walking tour. You know, they were like, this word experience keeps being thrown out, and in the last decade it's become, you know, the hot spot, the hot topic for tourism. And it's true. Like when they said, we want you to create a product, a walking food tour product that competes with all the other ones, because they had, so it's like a taco tour basically. And so I went to do the other taco tours, which was a terrible part of my job. I had to eat all the tacos from all the places. It was terrible. But what I realized is that it was all very the same. It was just, oh, I'll just take you here, 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 and then we'll finish with an ice cream. And I was like, okay. Well, I was underwhelmed and underimpressed with what the others were offering. So I went to work, and our one is much more interactive and experiential. So basically, you start off, we start off in the actual, in a market, so we can actually show them obviously like the cactus and the different chiles and things like this. We go into the first station, which is the barbacoa, which is a really beautiful, it's lamb cooked in a very old ancient style under the ground in a stone pit. But we then get them to make their own salsa, so salsa tatemado. Tatemado is like a very old style salsa technique that the indigenous do in Mexico, which is basically charring the ingredients first, and then they all get to go make their own salsa. Then they get to make their own tortillas as well, because the tortillas, the mass-produced tortillas, are tasteless. So all of the places that you go, they're super tasteless. So we wanted to show them what the real corn tortillas taste like when they're made hecho a mano, you know, and made with love and made with all the right ingredients. And it's just absolutely night and day between what you would have as a normal taco and this taco. So we also try pulque, which is like the, people don't really know it, but it's the oldest alcoholic beverage of Mexico. And it's from the same plant as the agave, so the agave plant from tequila and mezcal is made from. And it's the agua miel that comes from it that they ferment. And before the Spanish came over and taught them about the distilling, this was their alcoholic beverage. It's not for everybody. It's a little gooey, it's a little sloppy, but hey, it's history. So like, it's an interesting one. People look at it first, like, and then, you know, they taste a bit of history, and then they probably never want to taste it again. It's fine.
Brilliant.
And then we go through a number of all the different, like 4 different other places where they learn the 4 different key preparations of the other meats. And then I was looking at the dessert, and I was like, well, why would you finish with an ice cream? This is a taco tour. I was like, there's no creativity being used here. So actually, I went and talked to a pastry chef, and we designed together a dessert taco, and we used a Oaxacan cacao to create a crepe, and then inside we've got like gooey brownie, okay, with a homemade vanilla ice cream. And then for the salsa, of course, you know, taco is complete without a salsa. You get their version of Argentines. Okay, it's their version of dulce leche. Okay, that they put on the top, and it's an absolute winner. People absolutely love it, and it's a taco. So you know, everything they eat is a taco, and they don't finish with a
with nothing to do with the whole subject and experience. Because Leon, I wanted to talk about that the walking tour specifically as example of what actually a real experience should be and is, you know, where it's not just to follow a trend. That is what is happening this day. You know, everything is experience, everything is, you know, but the reality is those little aspects that actually they are huge, that are the details of that experience that you just mentioned. I just learned so much just for what you just mentioned, even with the drink and the fact that it's a dessert, a tortilla dessert at the end, and you know, all these specifics that makes a complete experience full. And then you go back to your house, back to your country, and you will always have that with you. You learn so much through joy. because at the end you are enjoy a time, you are sharing with people, but you are also learning something that you would probably apply in your daily life forever, as try to do a dessert taco, things like that. So into
It's,
the subject, sorry.
no, it's true, because, an experience, like people are like, what is an experience? But it's actually, you have to actively and meaningfully engage with the food. It's not just looking at the food, it's not just eating it. You have to engage with it. In order for it to be experiential, you really have to understand how to make people feel that. So taking them back in time and having them make a salsa that's 600 years old, having them make tortillas the way they've been made from the beginning of time, from the comals with the clay comals. They don't even know how old that tradition is. Just by creating your own tortilla and making a salsa, whilst you're out on it, you're already interacting with the food. You're experiencing the food on a different level. Having the pulque, again, it takes you back into history and allows you, the story behind it is just as important. Some people might not like the taste, but they're fascinated by the story because, people don't talk about it. It's not something that people really promote in that area at all. And with experiential tourism, it's the most important. It's the little extras that you put in to make the overall experience more meaningful by the end, and by being more meaningful, better remembered. And like you said, people will go home and do things. We send them the recipe for the salsa, how to make the tortillas, and we have people sending us photos from back home when they've gone and made and shown what a real corn tortilla tastes like, because in the rest of the world they always use flour tortillas. So most people in the world have no idea what a real freshly made corn tortilla tastes like. Even when they go to Mexico, they have the mass-produced one. So I just felt that when you're talking experience, make sure that you're getting to the real nitty-gritty, get the history and make it relevant, and make sure that they're all they touch, feel, smell, hear, get all of the senses engaged in the topic.
I think that's also a big responsibility in terms of the, say, call it industry in general, about generating experiences. We as a customers, we follow. We go to a place, and many of us, we read what it's about, and we go and we do what is being offered, and more or less it's kind of like, on a line. So when someone gets out of that box that we were talking earlier and teach us there are other ways of trying, of eat, of be, of interact, that obviously put the scale high enough, and then you understand that those experiences exist, and you start looking for them. You start being a bit more researchful and looking for that. And with that, I want to go into the subject of obviously what we're living these days, that you've been doing now for ages, Leon. But many people these days are waking up into that they need to now offer something better to the public to be able to attract them back, and to be more sustainable, and to be more, created into sharing those stories about, in your case it's food, in other case will be a furniture, in other case will be a house, in other case will be a hotel. But you need to engage with people from that side these days, that you already discovered that a while ago. So basically the question is, what you will tell us about what we are living right now in relation with what is coming, and in relation with what is experiential. You know what I mean? Experience side.
Okay. So wait, to clarify the question, you're asking what constitutes an experience, what's being done, and what can we do in order, where's experiential tourism moving towards?
Yeah, that can be one of it. I asked, it was very long, my question, but yeah, exactly,
Well, the word experience is very trendy in tourism, and it's necessary for sales. In the last 10 years, it's really gone, it's exploded. However, not all travel agencies really understand exactly what experiential tourism is. And a lot of the consultancy work that I'm doing in the moment is helping agencies deconstruct existing products and reconstructing them with an experiential element to them, because they're realizing that although at the beginning coming and just putting experience on the label helped sales, actually what's happening right now is that the consumer is becoming a little bit more savvy about what an experience is, and therefore they're looking for it and they're looking for the results, and therefore although you can have make a quick buck by putting experience on something, you really it's not sustainable at all. So experiential tourism right now is all about small group, highly curated products that are relevant to making your clientele feel the destination that you're in. And therefore, what we're seeing right now, actually post-COVID, like in this COVID time, is that post-COVID, I feel that experiential tourism is going to be the norm again. However, there's going to be a little bit of a twist, because I believe that sustainability and restoration is going to be key to be part of these products, to differentiate one agency from another. The science behind it is going to be, if you can seamlessly introduce restoration or sustainability into a product and make it fun, as opposed to just saying 1% of our revenue goes to this, or if it just feels like it's just tagged on, like, and then on the way home we planted a tree and then we went home, like it's the real science. And what I believe the real winners coming out of COVID is going to be those companies that understand how to introduce and how to make how to seamlessly introduce like sustainability and restoration into what they're already doing, and make it because it doesn't sound like the most sexy topic, restoration, sustainability. But what I'm trying to do with agencies is to say, well, look, let's turn it on its head. What happens if we try to make that part one of the most exciting parts of the tour? What if we switch it around so that was the thing that people spoke most of and enjoyed most about their experience of that country, of that city, Because it's not just about planting a tree. There's a billion ways you can introduce these new ones. And I believe that my generation, all of the future, like all of the tourism, there's going to be a majority of the tourism market that is going to be looking for these key elements. And if they have the difference between one agency and another to choose an identical product, and one has done this other experiential element, they're going to choose it. And the ones that don't evolve now will be the losers.
Yeah, I know. I got what you're saying, and I have to say, for my own personal opinion, completely agree with you. Also, the word experience sadly is so, I try to find some replacement for it, but it's not, experience says it all, but it's been used so much and used in such a wrong way that actually puts me off now when I see it. Experience, experience. Everything is experience these days. So it needs to be, that term, what you're saying, without doubt of that extra mile, because people, as you were also very right say, it became more wise and it became more aware, and also appreciation of their time, these moments to travel and to go somewhere or when we can and when we are allowed. I think we're gonna choose very well where to go and where and with who spend that time, and also even our money. So very right. So what you're saying, it's gonna be a shift, and it's gonna be for the ones that are alert, awake, and I'm looking of those details of what actually real experience it is, not a repetition of a word, and that's it. So that's wonderful. Thank you, Leon. I think we're gonna make a little break just to hear you guys. If you have any questions, I'm gonna welcome my dear Patricia here from Casa Le Paz, gorgeous hotel here in Buenos Aires, in San Telmo. Thank you so much for being here.
Gracias. Thank you very much.
No, our pleasure. You guys just opened, God, a year ago, right? Casa
The
de Playa.
hotel? Yeah, it's been so long now that we're doing online things that I cannot remember when we were live with the hotel.
Sure, sure. Okay,
As
so
by now, everything is
sorry.
by Zoom.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. Luckily, we have it. So it's a great way to share and to have these type of conversations. It's actually amazing what we were saying earlier, that we're sitting here with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 nationalities, 8 nationalities. I mean, everybody's from a different
yeah,
country right now, and everybody's sitting far away, and we can do this, and that will never happen in another moment.
yeah.
So it was one of those positive things that came out, in difficult times, that we need to find, other ideas and ways. So guys, if you have any questions so far for Leon, please shoot. You can ask him whatever you want.
Yes. Hi.
Of course,
Hi,
Corinne.
Patricia.
Hola,
Eh,
hi,
Hola.
¿cómo
I would
estás?
like, I don't know if my English will be clear enough, but I would like to ask you something, Leon, because I heard in some Zooms that even experiences will be and still are after the COVID, they will continue to be the hotspot for the trips, the luxury trips, because we are in the luxury segment. I would like to know, because what was very in vogue was the fact to experience with the locals, So it was like very in vogue the last years. And I don't know if you think that now all this kind of experience will turn a little bit more to more contact with the nature instead of being in contact with locals because of the coronavirus.
Absolutely. I definitely predict that, of course, the nature is going to be the #1 experience people want when we come out of this, regardless of if there's some sort of vaccine or there's a low case in your country, in the one that they're in. Paranoia is going to cause a negative ripple for a while about the engagement that we have with people that we don't know. Like, it's just, even for those of us at the lowest risk, there's still, when we go on holiday now, we're going to go into an airport where everyone's going to look like a scientist, that's going to come out in white coats, and you're going to be moved around like sheep, and it's not going to be a very enjoyable process to arrive at your destination. And the last thing I think that people are going to want freshly coming out of this is to go into an area where they're going to want to be taken out of that reality, and then to be put in a new reality where they can literally listen to farsi, just to literally forget about that, because that's the experience coming out of this is going to be the experience of, could you just not mention COVID? Could I have a week or a day or an hour where we talk about something positive, about, the beauty, about this, about, like historical areas, or adventure sports where you're, get some adrenaline out and feeling, getting the serotonin up in the evenings, and then having fantastic local farm to table kind of meals. But yeah, no, I think you're completely right in the fact that I'm actually helping a few agencies with this at the moment, is where we should focus the marketing and the experiences coming out of this, and making a big deal out of it, because everyone who has the ability and some expendable income at the end of this is going to want to go away. But I don't think the inner city kind of breaks is going to be a big thing.
Yes, that's why I was thinking about the big cities, because we are in Buenos Aires. Of course, in Argentina, we have plenty of places, outside places and nature, but everybody wants to visit the city when they come, and you need to stop in Buenos Aires before going anywhere. So I think the big challenge for us will be in the main cities or main capitals, how to develop experiences without getting in touch with other people or being the most away from the crowds, no?
Yes, and I think one of the main areas to focus the experience on is that initial moment when they arrive, to get them out of, like, how quickly and how effectively and how slickly can you take them out of a feeling of paranoia and panic and put them into an area of ease and relaxation, you know? And there's going to be many different keys to that, you know? There's many different areas that you can concentrate on to make sure that, like, the client is basically that line as quickly to tranquilo as possible, because there's going to be some people which are way more paranoid than others. You know, the types of people that are going to receive them, the vehicles, what they have inside it, like the stops you make en route, if it's like an hour or two to the destination, you know, how, like, deconstructing that entire welcome, which is now going to be completely different to any other welcome that there's ever been. I feel like a really important area to focus on when it comes to tourism and experiences is, yeah, that meet and greet needs to be absolutely solid.
Thank you very much.
Plus, yeah, as you were saying earlier, the stress, just, you know, going to an airport and going to the airplane was, you know, part of the journey, of the beginning, the fun. And obviously for a while, it's going to be probably the most stressful moment for you. So what you want when you reach your destination is to feel that release of containment and protection and okay, this is what we're doing, and forget about all that, you know, crazy moment. Now we're going to show you that you're safe and you're fine with us.
Definitely. And, you know, Argentina, you know, your culture is one of sharing, you know, just the whole mate and things like that. Like, mate is literally impossible for any tourist to do mate.
Well, possible, but you will have your own mate. You don't have to share it.
No, exactly. I was just about to say, it's like doing it the traditional Argentine style is out. You're going to be doing it on your own.
It's not going to work.
Yeah? Passing the bombilla around is like, oh, wow.
Not hugs anymore, not anything.
No hugs and kisses, but it's okay. You know, if you're dealing with Americans or Europeans, we're not big, you know, huggers or kissers. You know, we walk into a room with our hands up. Hello, how are you? So if you're not dealing with the Latino market, I don't think that's so much of a problem.
So that was, thank you. Wonderful question, wonderful answer. Anyone else? Julián, ¿cómo estás? Bienvenido. Qué placer tenerte acá. Mara, please.
Hi, Leon. We touched briefly before you started. I have a kind of direct personal question. You know, we talked about how my husband and I are planning to, we want to pursue a ranch, but many of the concepts that you discussed are exactly what we're thinking about. When you make food, you make it with love, you make it memorable, you make it meaningful. And then of course, interaction with nature rather than people, or people if you like, but you know, interaction with nature and animals as well. So almost all these areas that you covered, but specifically, we're torn between Montana and Texas, and because they both have a lot to offer in the United States. But my question is, in Montana, there is the option of us pursuing, instead of cows, to pursue the bison industry, buffalo. And that's something that, at least in the northern part of the United States, is kind of a big deal because their population was practically extinct. So the industry for bison in the north is more about maintaining the population as well as providing a healthier meat because it's sweeter, more healthy, less fat. So what are your thoughts? Just any advice you might have on pursuing something like that?
I mean, obviously, when you've got a few things to take into account there, because is this something is it going to be a passion hobby, or is it going to be what you're living off? You know, like, is this because obviously choosing a more commercially viable route is obviously going to end up with more money, and because there's more options. But like, you know, but there's if you're retiring and it's not all about money, but it's about sustainability and it's about other areas. And it also depends on what is the concept that your homestay is going to offer. You know, when they come in, is it going to be teaching them about you know, the vulnerability of the bison and what you've done in order to do your part, and the different experiences, the bison type experiences that you'd be able to integrate into your stay. Because if that, you know, there's a few different factors you have to take into account before making such a massive decision. I don't know if that's which way would you?
It's the second, more about passion and showing, giving an experience. I mean, I hate to use the word experience, like Leon has said.
Yeah, no, I know, but it's the only one we have. I mean,
yeah, but we will. No, we'll be financially independent. That really, money is not going to have to be a big factor for us. I mean, obviously, you want. I will want it to be a money maker, but it's not the thing that's going to drive our passion behind the concept. The passion behind our concept will be more about, you know, the interaction again with animals. How do you, and just actually getting away from a city life, bring it down a couple notches to where you can interact with, and like you said, tell the story of the bison. So yeah, more along the second concept that you were proposing.
Yeah, well, then for sure, the bison route for me would be the obvious choice on that, because it's got a much more interesting story, and originality, you know, originality sells as well. And also you're carving into the sustainability element that we were talking about earlier, that people are going to be looking to try, they want to enjoy their holidays whilst they want to offset their carbon footprint as much as they possibly can, so they feel good about themselves. So by going to your ranch and doing your ranch experience with a bison, if that then gives a bison, you know, like a better chance, you know, that enhances their chances of survival in that area in the future. The marketing and the story that you can curate to describe what you do differentiates yourself quite clearly from people that are just going to be doing the cattle style ranch experience. I don't know enough about the difference between cattle and bison to tell you what types of experiences I would concentrate in to get them to feel the difference. But like, I'm sure you guys know a lot about that.
Well, I think, yeah, in fact, and for health factors, the bison meat is healthier. And we also plan to have, you know, a good, for example, a sustainable garden that the clients could then also, you know, eat healthy while they're there, but have some amazing dishes that we pour our love into and enjoy together, you know. And the bison meat is something that we could do that with as well. Okay,
Definitely.
thank you.
so basically, yes, it's basically the purpose that people is gonna go for. Now you need to have a propósito, you know. It's not just travel for travel. It's like, you know, choosing Vegas instead of choosing more, you know, nature and campo thing. You know, people really is gonna start thinking deeply about these things. You know, a big percentage, not everybody obviously, but a big percentage. So, okay, to carry on with our interview, thank you for the questions. Anyone else have another question? No? Okay, so we're gonna carry on. So I'm gonna ask if you guys can mute your mic. So Leon, moving a bit more, and thank you so much. It's been so useful, our chat for everybody, and obviously learning a lot. And so we're gonna be a little recap. So we went from Leon to study biologia, live in England, and come to Argentina with no Spanish, just few words that he learns by memory, and get away with, and joined this agency and became one of the, well, number one tour leaders in this massive important company, and work with this and Passion Forever. And then we discovered these new ideas of experiences into his apartment, and make this massive idea into a massive business that was the Argentine Experience, the Thai Experience, and now what he's doing in Mexico also, with a twist and different ways, with the, you know, joint forces with different agencies. Plus, obviously, what you do, that is, you are an advisor. That is basically, it shows very much into our conversation that you are an advisor. You advise many tourism companies. You advise many individuals that have a different type of business, all to do with entertainment and all to do with create new amazing ways to do things. So you can just tell us a bit about that part of yours that is also another business that is the advisor side.
Yeah, so I started a couple of years ago, like a travel consultancy business, basically to help, because I was being asked, you saw again and again these types of questions coming up about like exactly like, I'm sorry, the names have gone off now, but the question I've just been asked about the bison and the cattle, it's common that certain people have, let's say, properties, or they have land, or they're an agency that already have existing products. But like everything, we're all evolving at the moment. And if you don't evolve with the times, then you evolve away from the times. And therefore, yeah, the consultancy that I've set up helps with a few different elements. One, if you're looking to extend your portfolio of products, then we help with grassroots idea generation. And help with the ideas. We help with the rollout, and then the training of ourselves out. We then, like I said, we deal with companies which are looking to evolve their products, so to deconstruct them and reconstruct them with an experiential twist. And then third one is where we help them develop land or areas or new areas for tourism. So, for example, you have a friend that I'll be working with soon that has, these beautiful houses, and they're all, wants to work out how to create purpose-driven experiential casas, around Latin America. Brilliant, like I said, that's a fantastic idea and exactly the type of thing that I really look forward to participating in. And so the consultancy is that. It's basically, want to create something, we can help you create it. Want to evolve something, we'll help you evolve it. Or you want to just, you've got some land and you're confused as to what you could do with it and the potential for tourism and product development. We go and we assess that and we help them throughout the whole process as well.
Brilliant. Thank you. So now, moving, so guys, obviously our club is there with these amazing partners that we have. So whenever you want to engage and get obviously Leon's help, details, whatever, obviously we are there for that. He will be there. He's in Scotland right now, but normally he moves all over the world. So that's one of your passions. And talking about that, we're gonna go into this fun side now of I want you to describe into your own experience. What is, I want you to tell us which type of travelers you think they are around there. Like you have the ones that like museums, you want the ones that go for nature, you are the ones that, you know what I mean? So in your so many years of traveling, tell us about, in your own description, which ones are the travelers that you've seen around the world, which, the people.
Yeah, so I think, so Leanna's talking a little bit about the stories that I've started to write. And it's basically basing on profiles of types of travelers that I've traveled with over the years. Because I've traveled, I've taken people traveling in over 30 different countries in 3 different continents. There's just 1 billion type of stories that have come out of that are extremely entertaining that I've started to write in this COVID time to try and create laughs coming out. And so we have types of travelers, let's say the forgetful type, the ones which take objects that they probably don't want to be seen and put them in a hand luggage going through security. We have the super duper irritating types, which everyone wishes karma would do something about, and then karma does do something about. We have other categories that we've been writing about. Write a story, use funds. We have people that literally just have absolutely no idea what is okay and what is not okay. And this all sounds a little this all sounds a little cryptic, but it's because like these are titles of many short stories that I've written that I've sent a couple to Liana that she spent the morning laughing over wants to discuss.
We will be sharing them because it's part of our conversation to talk about these stories, because I can't wait to share that with you guys. To be able to read it as I do, when I want to have a laugh, I just click into these stories and have a laugh because they are hilarious and they are so real. But it's more about these type of travelers, like you get to deal with so many characters, nationalities, in one package. So like, I want to classify probably, I don't know if it's the right word or no, but which ones are they, and what is the normal and the norm when you are with the tourist working as a tourist leader.
Well, the norm of dealing with that amount of tourists is there is no norm. They're absolutely every single type of personality.
Good answer.
Not just within a traveling format, but also within the Argentine Experience and the other experiences. Like, just because of the amount of tourists that come through, like the type of stories that come up because, 1 in every 1,000 just does something absolutely ridiculous. That is exactly what I wanted to write about, because they're just the funniest things that most people that aren't in tourism really ever, know about, like things that are strictly all about, if you meet enough tourists, you will meet a tourist like this.
Okay, so tell us also I want to say welcome to Char. Great to have you. Good to see you. And Marta Sykes. Oh my God, my friend, how are you? Thank you so much for joining us today. I know you are on mute, so oh my God, Marta is from Spain. I think she's living on the States in California right now. And I don't see her since so long. So wonderful to see her here. So thank you to Char for joining us also, as always. Okay, so Leon, the countries I want now to as a open subject. The countries that you've been as a tour leader. Hey, Marta, ¿cómo estás? So good to see you. So, all these countries that you visit, that you just mentioned, 30 countries, this amount of continents, the highlights of your journey as a tour leader, as a person that provides these amazing experiences, which countries, which cities, which places you will say is a must to go and to do?
Wow. That's actually the most common question I ask when I'm on the road with travelers is, what's your favorite country? But, and it very much depends on, like, are you talking about the food, culture, history, adventure sports? Like, they're all kind of like divided into a few, but there is a few that have made a massive impact on me. Argentina for one, and not just because you guys are based in there, but like actually taking people traveling around it. It's one of the most diverse places I've ever been, from, up in the north, up in, Iguazu, that's to Mendoza, to Buenos Aires, to Puerto Madryn, and you're coming down to Patagonia. I love the way that the food develops as well. Everyone says it's all about steak. They don't really realize that steak is more northern, and it goes to the Cordero, Patagonia, and then you get down to like the south, you get the king crab. It's brilliant. I love taking people through those journeys. But I know, like, I haven't been to Colombia for 10 years, but when I was there last, this made a massive impact on me as well. I thought that it was unbelievable. Like, the people were more unbelievably warm, and that there's no reason now that it's a little safer that it shouldn't be like a top destination. You've got those Virgin Caribbean, you've got sub 6,000 meter mountains, you've got rainforests, you've got like amazing culture, history, like the
food. Don't start talking about Colombia, because luckily for the first time I have another Colombia on my Zoom, Marta. She's in England, living in England, but she's Colombian, and we can go forever.
Yes, I'm very happy that you're mentioning Colombia. Very, very happy because it's absolutely beautiful. Everybody should go there. And you really, really enjoyed it. Thank you for mentioning it.
No, without a shadow of a doubt, like it heavily impacted me. I feel Mexico is quite understated, because I feel like everyone thinks Mexico and they think Cancun and they think like Playa del Carmen, which none of these places represent Mexico at all in any way, shape or form. It's like America on the coast. But then you come, like if you're going to go up there, going down to like Oaxaca, Mexico City, like food is absolutely crazy good, and the culture is genuinely Mexican. I've been very lucky to spend a lot of time living in Asia, of course the language. But the reason I chose Latin America to travel and to build businesses in is because you only had to learn one language, and you could do the lot, except for Brazil. But I kind of found that speaking Spanish but holding my nose like this was kind of enough for them to understand me. I kind of understood every 3 words they said back to me as well. So that worked well as well. But whenever people ask me about travel, I tend to talk about Latin America as a continent, because I feel it's very misunderstood. It's very superficial what people actually highlight about what is Latin America. And once you've been there and traveled the back roads and lived and co-worked with the different people in different cultures, it's just been such an enriching, fascinating 12 years of my life to co-live with all of the different people that have been so great to me over the seas.
Yeah, brilliant answer. Tell us about your own country, mister. What about England?
England, well,
I like that. Well, in a side.
Yeah, well, as a traveler, viajero de alma, like the idea, like England for me is where friends and family are, but it's not where I want to live and exist. Is because everything, one of the reasons I think that I like Latin America is because not everything works, so you have to work it out. Whereas in England, things do work, which makes actually England very predictable. And for me, predictability is kind of boring, which is why I was never attracted to it. But Latin America, predictability is not a thing, really. Like it's, at the end of the day, that's what makes Latin America so exciting. Because you always have to, like, it's constantly evolving and moving around. And you just basically, you have to pay attention all the time to be able to keep up with everything that's going on. And I feel like the key difference between the English and the Latins, one of the reasons why I spend so long over there is in England, I feel like people live to work. Very, very serious in that regard. Whereas in Latin America, it's just subtle. It's like we work to live. And like, I really resonated with that small change of thought and that change of chip, because I work to live. I want to live. I'm not interested in the English way of like working my absolute ass off until 65. And just in case I have luckily enough to have the health to enjoy being able to spend my money and to enjoy myself. No, I want to enjoy myself along the journey. And I feel Latinos are way better than that than the Europeans.
It is obviously, it's a very interesting, what you're saying, very interesting concept. As many of you know, and many of you experimented, and as what we are as a Club Porteño Provoqa, our club, most of our members are expats. So basically, they live in probably 10 different countries before they go back into their own country, and maybe they don't even go back ever because they found all that adrenaline and that incredibly mysterious and interesting that other countries have to offer, and how they have to reinvent it every time they land in a different one, from culture, the food, the language, and it became, an addiction, a way of life. And so I heard what Leon is saying, with many English friends, European friends, Americans, that they always say like, okay, Latin America have this way spontaneous way to be, where you call someone, and it happens all the time in Argentina. And definitely, I can see the difference when I'm in England. That you call anyone, any moment, and say, "What are you doing?" "Okay, yes, let's get together." "Okay, yeah, okay, bye, fine, man, see you later," and it happens. Where I know definitely in Europe, it's more like, "What are you doing in 6 months? Can we meet? Can we see each other?" You know, like, or when I'm gonna go from Argentina to see friends, you think you're gonna be a priority because you're coming from so far away, and they look at the agenda and they go, "No, no, no, maybe here," and you go like, "Okay." So definitely, it is a complete different way of. It's not everybody, huh? Everybody have, you know, in every single place you have different people, but in general, it's like that. And that's what is so wonderful about our club, this amount of nationalities, and everybody's been everywhere, and everybody understands how everybody lives, you know. And so it's no, you know, you don't judge, you just basically take the best of whatever, you know, the culture gives you, and you make part of your learning process, and go with that, you know, in life, you know, from religion to ethnia to everything. And the world is wonderful because that, and that's why the world of traveling, and that's why go and experiment cultures, not just visiting a hotel, not just to stay, you know, in the city, but go actually and experience. Is so incredibly wonderful, and enrich so many our lives in such a big way. So, okay, Leon, another thing here, I write this down actually. Um, your in your experience of traveling, your worst experience and your best one, just to close our interview.
Wow. My worst and my best. Oh, you really cornered me here. Let's think. I like one of my stories that you've just written, that they read. Like my my worst day that I can't talk all about because it's way too long. But it was my very first day.
We will be posting it because I'm sure you're gonna mention the one that you almost like, right?
Yeah. Like the very first day into Latin America, I had an extremely long near-death experience that went on ridiculously, like for about 3 days, and that's a story that I have written. And if you're interested in it, you definitely need to read it. It's a lot of fun. But actually, one of the moments where I was most scared, or one of the worst moments that I can say that's a quick one, was being in Bolivia, taking a group traveling and going on the border with Chile, crossing through the Atacama Desert, when one of my guests comes up to me, one of the guys, and whispers in my ear, I have a stick of dynamite in my bag. Should I put it in the bin? And I'm like, what? What? You have a stick of dynamite in your bag? One, what are you doing with a stick of dynamite in your bag? And two, where are you from? Who would put dynamite in the bin? So I'm there sweating and like not knowing what to do. And I'm like, no, don't put like it in the bin, kind of patronizingly. And then he immediately goes, should I bury it? And I'm like, this isn't treasure. This is like one of the hottest sands in the world. You want to bury it just underneath it in the busy border crossing. Congratulations, that's a worse idea than putting it in the bin. Give it to me. But I didn't think it through because then I had a stick of dynamite in my hand. And I'm like, I don't know what to do with it. Now, it's less sinister than it sounds because he didn't just have a stick of dynamite, because there is a tour that we've done in the silver mine in Potosí. We go into the mines, and before we go in the mines, we buy dynamite and coca leaves for the miners. Yes, you heard that right. That's an experience unique to Bolivia. That you go in and you give it to the miners to reduce their costs, so that they give you a kind of a mining experience where it's not for everybody. You crawl through little tunnels which are questionably safe, that are held up by sticks and planks of wood, to go and give dynamite to the miners, that then set them off in the pitch dark It is amazing if you like that type of thing. Otherwise, it's like genuinely horrifying. It's been the worst moment of some of my guests' lives. So anyway, with that, I was panicking because I'm like, well, what do? I can't go to the police and say I have dynamite. I don't want to take any of the 2 suggestions of this guy by putting it in the bin or burying it in the hot sand. That sounds terrible. So in the end, I looked at the drivers that we had, and I went up sweating, terrified, saying, I have this dynamite, what can I do? Like cradling it like a baby. And they just grabbed it and goes, yeah, no problem, and threw it into the trunk of their car. And I have to say, I didn't play it cool at all. I was like a little girl. I was like, ah! And then I'm like in a ball on the floor, and they just came up to me and goes, no pasa nada, necesito fuego. It's like, what's wrong with you? Like, it needs fire. And I'm like, okay, maybe I'm just too much of a city boy, but like, we don't throw, I've never even seen dynamite, let alone thrown dynamite. Anyway, that was my worst day. Just simply that one. And best, the best has to be the day that I signed the Argentine Experience, because it was actually on National Malvinas Day as well. So it was the day.
So I don't know if you want to explain a bit that. Obviously, it sounds like it's obvious, but maybe it's not. The Malvinas Day here in Argentina. Mm-hmm.
Okay, so the Malvinas Day is obviously the day that the English and the Argentines went to war for the Falklands or the Malvinas, depending on who you're talking to. It's a bit of a sore point sometimes, and that island's still got lots of English people on it. It's got a Tesco's on it. Okay, so it's very English. And anyway, so each year they celebrate the fact that the Malvinas are Argentine, and it actually gets kind of a bit hectic a lot of the time. And like I was there signing this, I made the best deal of my whole life to own a restaurant, and outside there was a riot where they were like with the hoses and everything like that, and burning English flags. And I was like there with an Argentine indoors, like making peace and going into business, and like and it was an Englishman who created a business specifically to show off the best parts of the cuisine and culture of Argentines for tourists coming through. So I thought it was a meaningful and beautiful day.
Wonderful, wonderful story. Okay, guys, so I want to say thank you so much for joining us today. I hope you enjoy the stories. Of course, I hope you learned something from what Leon had to share with us that I think was very useful from the beginning of the journey that we did. Recap for you guys that just arrived. Leon Loya came to Argentina, to South America, as taking an opportunity for his life with no language, and became the first tour leader in this big agency. And from there, he took it to a big, massive project that was the Argentine Experience, this restaurant that is still #1 here in Argentina, Thai Experience, Mexico Experiences and beyond. And as a consultant, and of course, an amazing human being, a bit nuts, and that's why we get on so well. So I hope you guys enjoyed. If you have any other questions about the subjects that we spoke, of course, what is coming now in terms of experiences and tourism and what people is looking for. I know, Patricia, thank you so much for being here. I love your hotel, Casa Le Page. It's stunning, what a culture and history. It's one of our partners, and actually we were planning to come back after our time, summertime with the club in Europe, to come back to your place to be one of our houses for Club Porteño Provoqa. Maybe we still can do it. Let's see how everything goes. But I hope you found. You guys can unmute now, so we can all say goodbye to each other and share some thoughts. But your hotel the hotel itself is experience, because what you guys have already is a historical, amazing, stunning hotel.
We are developing the idea of how about having a night, sleeping or having a night at the museum. So
it's a hotel that has a museum. It's a hotel that have a cava. it's a hotel that's such a rich history, you know, that it's just all of that takeover of the amazing rooms that are stunning, but the story of that place is incredible. So I'm sure we're
Yeah,
gonna.
and if anyone has a little time on Friday afternoon, we're doing the virtual visit by Zoom, of course, and the archaeology of the museum explains little pieces of history around the things they found on the excavation, but then she links that with the colonial times in Buenos Aires and the tango, today's tango. So she's very, very nice, like, how you say, link stories.
Lovely.
So if you have the time, 7 p.m.
On
Zoom.
Friday, right? Following
Every
Friday.
Friday, every
Sharing
Friday.
the link then. Patricia,
Yeah.
thank you so much for joining us. I hope you found it useful.
Of
Mara,
course I
also
did.
with your ranch and your ideas. My dear Linda with Young Curated, that she's another guru in real, truly amazing experiences. We had her before. We interviewed Linda before here in Porteño, Provoqa. We have our dear Tuchar, our favorite artist in the UK, that we also shared an amazing time with you, Tuchar. So thank you so much for tuning. And we saw your painting that you did for the NHS doctors. That was incredible. Thank you. My dear Nikki, thank you so much for tuning with us. We're gonna have her brother that is and a mindfulness very, very well-known person in India. We're gonna have him also with us very soon. I was talking with him yesterday and it was like, oh my God, amazing. He broke how many, like 26 Guinness records, and unbelievable, this man, so I can't wait for it. We have our dear Marta. Thank you so much for joining us. We are so happy de tenerte aquí, querida, y vernos. Our friends as a Colombia, living in England for like forever. And obviously, Mr. Pierce William Neal, thank you so much for being here. And Leon, thank you so much for your time, for your knowledge, for your beautiful energy. We will, as you guys know, you will find all our information of our guests in our website. Also the direct contact of them, that is, you know, the part of this, what we're doing. And any help, any questions, and of course this Zoom, the video will come in the website and in our YouTube. So keep connected with us, keep a very positive spirit. The idea with these webinars is basically to have a very relaxed, cool conversation at home, connect people, and to make the world that is always been very small even smaller. As I was saying, so many nationalities and countries here, that is absolutely wonderful. And our next guest is gonna be next week. Guys, you're gonna love it. It's my partner Massimo Ianni, and he's the most talented and interesting person in the terms of the hospitality industry. And we're gonna be having a very in-depth conversation about many subjects, but obviously the one that he's an expert, that he's been advising governments and he's been helping thousands of hotels and thousands of businesses with his expertise. So it's going to be fantastic to have him obviously with us in this very, very relaxing, but as I say, in-depth conversation about what he does. So I wish you guys have a wonderful afternoon, night now, I guess, for you guys.
Lunchtime.
Yeah,
Tea time.
Lunchtime, yeah. So thank you so much, and I hope to see you very soon. And happy weekend! It's Friday.
Yeah.
A long weekend. Yeah.
Thanks so much.
Long weekend in England.
Yeah.
Oh, guys, wonderful. Oh, Linda, I love you guys so
All right.
much. I love you all.
So thank you.
So much for
Thanks,
tuning in.
Bye. Thanks, Leon. Bye. Bye, everyone.
Love you, Char. Wonderful to see you. Bye bye. Thank you.
Same here. Bye-bye.
Bye.